All right, ladies and gentlemen, financial advisors around the world. We are live broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Bill Winterberg of FPPad.com, and I got a fun program set up for you today. With me today is Russ Thornton. Russ is of wealthcareforwomen.com. Russ, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Bill. Excited to be here. This should be fun.
So, Russ, you and I were just exchanging some messages prior to this on Google Plus, just to get some topics together, and you came up with a pretty good laundry list of apps and pretty cool new technology that you've been able to use in your business. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Is this list of about 8 or 9 apps that advisors can use to just get news and updates on information, have more effective conference calls, maybe read offline information in a nice organized fashion. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there. So I'm going to kick it off with one of the first that you recommended, which was an app called, or a website called Job Change Notifier. So what's Job Change Notifier and what are you using it for?
So this is a website that honestly I forget who introduced me to it, but it's been probably over a year ago. I want to say it might have been Pat Allen from Rock the Boat Marketing, but it's a free service, and what you do is you hook it up to your LinkedIn profile.
Yep.
And what it'll do is anytime one of your first level LinkedIn contacts changes their job description, you'll get an email notifying you that they've had a change in job status. And while I've seen some journalist advisors talk about how you can kind of troll LinkedIn for like IRA rollover opportunities and that kind of thing,
Yep.
I'm not cool with that, but I still think that, a service like this, it just kind of runs for free in the background and pushes timely news to you, is a great catalyst to reach out to someone and say, oh, hey, saw you change jobs, or you maybe got a promotion within the same company. Congratulations. Anything going on, just a good reason to reach out and talk to people.
Now, I know with my LinkedIn network, I get an email from LinkedIn. And I talked about this with the folks over at, I think it was Socialware. They had a new product that kind of listened for the same information. I know that you're active on LinkedIn, so you get those messages as well about people with changes in their title. Is Job Change Notifier, is it better? Is it more timely? What sets it apart from the standard boilerplate stuff that LinkedIn sends?
The thing I like better about the Job Change Notifier service is it's tough, especially if you have a lot of connections. It's tough to pull that information out of your stream unless you kind of narrow your search or the criteria of the information that's flowing through your stream. So the fact that it actually pushes the notification to you into your email inbox, separate from LinkedIn, for me at least, with all of the information that's coming at me from different directions all hours of the day, it's nice to kind of have a separate and distinct notification that can trigger me to think, oh, this is a great opportunity to reach out to Jane or to Bob or to whomever the case may be.
All right. Now, along those lines, you've got another service that you use to help you stay on top of birthday notifications. Tell me what that service is and how you're using it.
So there is a company called, it's suitingly called the Birthday Company, and it's run by a guy named Dave Chase, and I was using Send Out Cards for a while, which I think some advisors may be familiar with, and Send Out Cards was working fine, but frankly I got a little tired of their kind of network marketing, multi-level marketing business model. And so I switched over to Birthday Company probably a couple years ago. And they've been great to work with. You can actually upload an Excel spreadsheet or actually email an Excel spreadsheet of your contacts and mailing addresses and that sort of thing to the company. They'll set your account up for you for free. It's, given the automation, I think it's very cost effective. It's certainly not a free service, but they mail out, physical, nice looking birthday cards or other cards based on your instructions. and you can actually send them a digitized signature, and they'll scan it in such a way, and they encourage you to do it in blue ink. They'll scan it in such a way that it literally looks like you signed each card.
Okay.
They can put your logo and other stuff in there too, which I don't fool with, but so you can set it up and basically set it and forget it for birthday cards. They also do holiday cards for Christmas, Thanksgiving, that sort of thing, and then you can send out one-off, congratulations, thank you, condolence, that sort of thing. So I still handwrite thank you notes to people, but for birthdays and other kind of major events where it's kind of I either want to automate the birthday mailing part, or it's a kind of a mass mailing for like Thanksgiving, which is coming right up. They've been great, and you can also, which you can see on the screenshot right now, you can also send some. You can send gift cards or some small gifts that come that are delivered with a card. So
yeah, I saw that. Yep.
Yeah, so it's been a great way to create some additional touches with clients, prospects, and other contacts, but do so in a way that I think they do a pretty good job of doing. They do a nice job, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Good. And it looked pretty affordable too, just a couple of bucks for most of the follow-ups and cards and things like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, next up on your list was a service called Pocket. Tell me about Pocket, Russ.
So Pocket is what I would probably loosely describe as a read it later or save for later service. And there's 2 or 3 of these out there. There's one called Instapaper. There's one that Evernote created that's kind of a browser add-in, but it doesn't work well with mobile devices. And Pocket, which if you look on the screenshot, you can see that it was formerly called Read It Later, is a service that kind of works everywhere. And so you can have it work in your browser through a browser extension. It works on your iPad. It integrates with a lot of third-party services like Twitter and even some like Twitter apps like Tweetbot. So if you ever see a link or an article that looks interesting and you either don't have time to read it and you want to read it later, it's literally a click away. It'll drop it into Pocket, and then I can access it pretty much anywhere via web or mobile device and read it later. And as I was sharing with you earlier, it's not just a opportunity to save something and read it later, but it's also kind of a separate bucket of content and information that I use to help me organize my, content collection, content curation for articles and information that I might want to use in an email newsletter or a future blog post, or that I might want to send out to a client because I read an article and think, that'd be great to send to Bill. Let me drop it in here and I'll maybe email it to him later or something like that.
All right, on that note, I'm probably more, I don't know, I got Dropbox, and so if I get stuff that I encounter online, I'll print out a PDF file out to my Dropbox, and my iPad's got the 4G LTE, so I've not really found issues of being offline and not being able to access information, but I guess I have to go through the length of making that PDF and putting it in a Dropbox, whereas something like Pocket, which used to be Read It Later, you just have a embedded button in your browser and it just takes care of everything, so you don't have to worry about that. So it's nice to know that there's multiple ways to get that content offline so you can read it when you've got a few moments of downtime.
Yeah, exactly. And ultimately whatever works for you. I mean, I feel like I've tried a lot of different things, and for now at least, Pocket kind of fits that role for what I'm trying to accomplish.
Okay, so what's the latest thing you've added to your Pocket list?
Good question, and I'm actually going to pull it up because I don't remember off the top of my head.
Because you were going to read it later, right?
Yeah, there you go. No pun intended. So I saved an article a couple days ago from Alan Roth from the CBS News website, talking about um, how the stock market's reacted post-election.
All right, very
And that's
good.
something I might want to highlight my weekly email newsletter that I send out next week, for example.
That's a pretty good idea to add information to Pocket that you can use for your newsletter. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump ahead to the next one on your list. One that I'm very familiar with is Contactually. Actually, talked with Z-Band, their co-founder, earlier this week for a podcast. So tell me about Contactually and how you are using it for your business.
Yeah. So for those that aren't familiar with Contactually, I'd really encourage you to go to Bill's website at FPPad and listen to the podcast he did with the CEO and one of the co-founders. I think they do a really good job of kind of explaining what it is and how it can benefit you and ultimately your clients by helping you keep in touch with the right people at the right time. And I think, Bill, you're a little farther along using this than I am. I've just started in the last week or so, and I've hooked it up with my personal Gmail account. I've manually imported my contacts from Outlook that I use for business, and I'm waiting very impatiently for my IT department to give me the green light to install the Outlook plugin so it'll work seamlessly with my work email contacts. But the thing I like best about it is, and you commented on this in I think the podcast you did with Zvi and some comments that I've seen you share publicly about it in the past. It just works. It knows. It seems to do an amazing job just in the short time I've been using it of helping kind of resurrect some contacts that might have gone stale or that you haven't talked to in a while or whatever the case may be, and kind of bubbling them up to the surface, putting them right under your nose, and making it easy for you to reach out via email. And what I've done and what I like particularly well is you can create email templates. So you can create a template that, I've got one that is called checking in, and it'll pull in the contact's first name. It'll say, hey, it's been a while, hope you're doing well. Just wanted to check in, see how you're doing. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know, Russ. So I've been sending those out to anywhere from 5 to 10 people a day for the last week or so, and it's been amazing how it's kind of reignited some of these conversations with people that I haven't talked to in a while. Really cool. And there's almost a game element to it. Where if you say, I want to follow up with 5 or 7 or 10 people a day, there's almost maybe some element of game theory where you kind of want to, check those off and make sure you get your 5, your 7, or your 10, or however many a day. And one more thing I'll add, and then we can move on, is you can tag your contacts. You can have an unlimited number of tags, but each contact needs to go into a bucket. Right. And a bucket is kind of a major, a high-level classification system. So for me, it's clients, prospects, centers of influence, things like that. And they actually have a little game built into the system. It's called the bucket game, where they give you 50 people at a time, 50 contacts that you've either imported or they've synchronized from Gmail, for example. And they actually time you to see how fast you can run through categorizing each of your contacts into their respective buckets. So it's stuff that for me that I should be doing anyway, keeping in touch with folks and that sort of thing, and it just kind of makes it a little easier and maybe a little bit fun.
Yeah, I definitely like the social element, and I imagine Contactually is going to increase that. The bucket game and the time is a good way to start, but if I see that you followed up with 8 people this week or 9 people this week, and I only followed up with 6, there might be that social competition element to see who can follow up with more people. But I have to say, and it was on the podcast, when I follow up with people with the consulting and the speaking that I do, more often than not, it results in new business, a new consulting engagement, a new speaking appearance. and I just sometimes have to turn it off because I fill up my calendar. But as Z pointed out, during those slow periods, during the holidays where the business kind of dries up, I know that I have contactually ready to go. And when I start following up again and rekindling those conversations, I get more business out of it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Russ, so we've got a couple more apps left to go, but I want to keep this around 15 minutes. So we've got a couple to pick from. I want to turn it over to you to talk about that one last app you want to cover during today's on-air broadcast.
Yeah, sure. So I think I think the other one I'll talk about real quickly is it's called Nudge Mail, and so Nudge Mail is a cool service. It's free, and one of the neat things about it is you don't even have to sign up. You just start using it. So if you go to nudgemail.com, and I'll give Bill the screen back if he wants to show you the website. But go to nudgemail.com, and literally you just start using it. And so the way that I've found this to be super, super beneficial is with email. I'm sure, like many of you folks, I get just more emails every day, it seems. And the problem with email, I've heard someone describe it, it's your to-do list, but somebody else creates it for you. And so what I've found is great about Nudge Mail is for things that, A, you either don't want to address that moment, or B, that you want to address but make sure that you have a reminder or follow up. You can get an email. Let's say Bill sends me an email asking me about XYZ. I could follow up. I could reply to Bill and say, oh, here's the information you requested, and then I could blind carbon copy that email to let's say 1 week at nudgemail.com. And so what it'll do is send Bill the email, and then a week from that day, it would send me a new email that basically just, it would basically resend me the email that I had sent to Bill. Mm-hmm. So I use it a lot to forward emails, kind of push them out into the future. I use it to blind carbon copy emails that I want to set myself a reminder for, that maybe I'm too lazy to kind of type a task in my contact manager or something like that. And something else you can do too is you can actually create an email. So it's not just for emails you receive. You can create an email and set your own reminder. So if I know that I need to reach out to a client or a center of influence or whatever the case may be in 30 days, I can just say literally, I could say, December 9th at nudgemail.com, and on December 9th I'll get an email back that, whatever I wanted to send to myself. So for me, it's very rare that I can get to inbox 0 and stay there, but this helps, and it helps get stuff that maybe isn't front and center that I need to address right that moment. It helps me kind of get it off my desk or out from in front of my face into the future, where I know it'll come back to me at a better time to address it.
It's interesting that you mentioned inbox 0, but you're using the inbox for more than just raw communication. You're leveraging the inbox for some of these reminders. For my own purposes, I still have a pretty good habit of entering reminders and to-dos in Workflowy. So I've been using that for about a year, and it still is pretty sticky with me, with something I use to document my reminders and to-dos. So I don't get anything. It's not integrated with my email program. I have to type in a date, or I have to type in some type of context with each to-do, and that's how I organize it on my own. But it's interesting. Inbox 0, I think we'll put that on the back burner for another on-air conversation about some of those efficiency and productivity strategies. But certainly the email inbox, we're seeing it being used in its versatility across more than just communication, where now you've got reminders and you've got some embedded media in some of these emails, and it's really becoming, I know advisors spend a lot of time in email, and if you're able to consolidate some of these things like reminders and to-dos in the same system that you use, certainly is a double-edged sword with respect to all that volume. But I guess each advisor might be able to develop some techniques to to get the most they can out of the limited hours in each day.
Yeah, like you, I use workflow and love it, but for me, workflow is kind of more of a just an idea capture system. So whereas Pocket might be something where I want to save an article or a link, workflow is someplace where I want to save an idea or kind of a passing thought that I can just type in real quick. It's super flexible, so I can see I could easily use it for to-dos and that sort of thing. I know you've even mentioned maybe using it kind of in place of or as a complement to more traditional mind mapping. But from, with respect to the inbox and just trying to manage that, the volume, like you said, and make sure that stuff doesn't fall through the cracks, I found Nudge Mail to be a great tool just to kind of help me, process more information more quickly, so I don't just get bogged down and wind up spending 45 minutes or an hour in my inbox, in the middle of the day when I should be working on something else.
Yep, absolutely. So, Russ, thank you for joining me for this broadcast today. We talked about Nudge Mail, we talked about Contactually. I'm trying to get the list up here of the other ones that we had talked about. Job Change Notifier, birthdayco.com, Get Pocket. Those are all really cool apps, and hopefully the viewers will be able to test out some or maybe all of them and gain something new and learn something new about doing things with a little bit more efficiency. So Russ, thanks for joining me today and giving us these tips.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Enjoyed it, and if anybody has any questions or wants to discuss any of this stuff, they're welcome to reach out to me via Twitter, my website, or Google+.
That's right, absolutely. We've got at Russ Thornton up there on the screen. Myself as well, send out messages for more content, more ideas, and other guests. If you have advisors that you'd like to see on and share some of the apps and tips that they're using, let me know. Go to my Google Plus profile out on Twitter. Contact me at bill@fppad.com. We're going to try and do this on a weekly basis so that you can get just a new way to get informed and ideas on new apps and techniques and tips that you can use just to embrace some technology and get more stuff done. So again, thank you very much, Russ, and everyone have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Bill.